Coming up on this episode of the Struggling Mind podcast. And for you, it was about understanding your grief journey.
Yeah. It was trying to begin again and put one foot in front of the other and start living and not just existing, because that's all I was doing. I was just existing and not doing anything. I feel sorry for my bra that year, that I was just like a recluse. I was a shell of who I am. I don't know how he's still here. I don't know how he stayed with me, because I was a right bitch.
Before we go any further, can you do me a favour and just show some love for the podcast and hit the subscribe button? Doesn't matter what platform you're listening to the podcast on, because it'll just help to share these incredible stories from these amazing people. Thank you so much. Right, back to the episode. I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Hello.
Oh, there she is. How are you, darling?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm really well. I'm really good. It's nice to see you.
And you?
We've only ever communicated kind of via, posts or Instagram. So it's really nice to see you in the flesh, and I'm really excited about kind of getting to know you as well. I have to admit, some of the posts that you put up really helped me at a time when I was really struggling with grief and that. Do you know what I mean? So it was really nice to kind of see those and almost be given permission to kind of grief. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll get into that. But first of all, I want to say thank you very much for joining me on the Struggling Mind podcast. It is an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for
asking.
Feeling? Yeah, I feel all right.
Yeah.
I feel good. Normally I feel normally shitting myself, normally really nervous, because I hate talking. I always feel like a twat, but it's all right. It's all good.
Listen, I'm under no illusion you've got some value to add, so I'm glad that you're here. We're recording already. I am not going to edit anything out of the podcast unless you specifically want me to.
Okay.
I want to keep it as authentic as possible. I want people that are listening to kind of feel as if they're part of the conversation. Are you all right with that? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah. I'll soon let you know if I want anything.
But that's fair enough then. That's what I want, you know what I mean? But listen, it's very informal. So, I'm not gonna try and trick you or get stuck. It's nothing like that. I just want to know about you, kind of what you do, and kind of what led you into that. In that sense, and maybe kind of pick your brain for a couple of things as well in regards to the kind of counselling that you do, because I know there's probably lots of people out there that are struggling with losing somebody, or in the process of letting somebody go, and we kind of don't know what comes after that, and we don't know how we're supposed to feel, and we get everybody saying you should be a certain way, act a certain way, and it kind of takes away from our own process. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, let's start off. I ask my guests 3 questions just to kind of settle them in and just get some random facts about them.
Okay.
All right, you up for it?
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, first question is, what's your favourite sandwich?
Oh, that's a hard one, that is, isn't it? Right at the moment, I guess a sourdough roll with garlic butter, sliced tomatoes, big tomatoes, loads of cheese, layered with cheese and tomatoes, and then grilled.
I'm there. I'm in. Like, literally, hold my ankles. I am in on that one. As soon as you said sourdough, and I was like, my ears pricked up. But that sounds lovely. It really does.
It's delicious.
Look at you. All right, next question. If you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
I'm a counsellor, but I always wanted to train to be a forensic psychologist. I'd love to get into the minds of people, like criminals, to see what's going on for them, what led them to why they become criminals, because we don't just wake up and think we're going to be a criminal and do bad stuff. So I suppose be able to get into people's minds, not necessarily a criminal, but anybody, get into their mind to see what's going on for them, the pain that they've been through that led them to where they are today and now, and help them ultimately. to feel like their pain's valid and that it's okay to feel whatever they're feeling.
It's true. That's so cool. I like that. So it's almost like mind reading in a way, but it's kind of mind reading to help them understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
But I'd love to work in a prison or something. I'd love to do that.
Would you?
Mm.
Well, listen, never say never, man. You know what I mean?
I know.
No, seriously, we never know what opportunities are around the corner.
No, we don't.
Last question. If you had to get rid of all your apps on all your devices and only keep 3, what 3 would you keep?
WhatsApp. The weather, because the weather's really important to me for getting outside. And Spotify, so I can listen to my music and my podcasts.
Nice. That's quite a common one. Spotify, and the weather's the first time I've heard that, to be fair. But Spotify, and I think, you know, maybe a social media app is quite popular. So I think music, you know, is a massive part of everybody's life. I think it's kind of like almost a way of putting into words what's going on in our heads. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Our emotions and our moods and that. Right.
The
So
weather one.
go on.
The weather one, because I don't really watch telly.
Do you not?
No. So I don't know what's going on. I definitely don't watch the news. Don't watch that bullshit.
Yeah, you're like me, mate. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's already enough stuff going on in my life that I need to focus on in that sense.
Yeah.
Cameron, do you want to tell the listeners who you are and what you do?
I'm Karen. I'm a counsellor. I qualified in 2020, just as COVID was hitting. So it was quite tricky. I'm a trained grief counsellor. I was working in a hospice for about 4 years, up until my brother died, and then I had to leave.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Because it was too painful to listen to other people's grief. I've also worked in addiction as well for an addiction agency. And now I've started my own private practice, helping people.
What led to that?
Started my own private practice?
Yeah.
I wanted to do something for me and start my own business, and I suppose empower myself to think, you know, you can do this, you can do it. It was bloody hard work to run a business and maintain it and keep putting the hard work in. I didn't want to go and work for somebody. I didn't want to be employed by somebody and have their rules and you have to do this, you have to do that, and the hours. I can pick and choose my hours. Not that I don't mind working evenings, weekends. I'll do it because I love my job. So I suppose that's what led to it.
And for you, is it the exchange? Is it like what you can support that person with, and obviously maybe what you're learning about yourself in that same transition, that same transaction?
Yeah, because every client's different. Yeah. Every single client brings something new into the equation, and you learn something new about yourself. You learn something new about humanity and why they are the way they are.
Yeah. Humans are funny people, aren't they? We just
Complex.
we seem to think that we kind of got certain things figured out, and then we haven't, you know, and that's just in us. That's not even taking into consideration the people that you're living with or you're sharing space with. Do you know what I mean? And I'm a little bit like you. I'm very curious about what makes people tick, because I'm really, really curious about what makes me tick. You know what I mean? In that sense, you said that you were. I want to touch on the grief bit thing, but I want to touch on that in a bit. I just want to obviously talk about your journey into that. So did you start as an addiction counsellor?
I started as a grief counsellor initially.
Oh, okay.
Because when you train to become a counsellor, you have to, whilst you're studying, you have to find somewhere to practice as a counsellor, and you have to gain 100 hours before you can go out into the big wide world.
That's right, yeah.
You have to go and get like go for a proper interview. and sit there and be questioned about everything that you're learning when you don't even know what you're doing anyway. And then, so I thought I'll work in grief, because I've experienced it before my brother as well, and it's hard. And yeah, it was. People say to you, "How can you do that? It must be sad. You must be crying all the time," but you're not, because you've not got a relationship with that person that's sitting in front of you. You don't know them, don't know who they are as a person. You're just trying to support them and help them find a way through their grief. And it was amazing.
It's just made me smile, that is. It's just made me smile. I totally connect with all of that. You know, I really do. Not just the helping people, but just in that certain situation. And as I said at the beginning, I looked at a lot of your posts when I lost my mum. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what you're supposed to feel. You don't know how you're supposed to act. It's weird because there's this. I'll be honest, and I'm quite honest. There's a sense of freedom that you get when that person passes, but at the same time, there's a massive, massive hole of loss. You know, and for anybody that's lost a parent, you might be able to kind of understand this, is that your parent raises and nurtures you, you know, to go out and tackle the big wide world, but you always go back because you know that they're the oracle. They know everything. You know what I mean? They keep the family together, the nucleus, and all of a sudden, when that person's not there anymore, you realize exactly what they do. As much as you might resist against them and all that, but you realize exactly what they do and how they hold that family together. And when someone pulls that pin out, it's almost like all the things that you wanted to do and have no one tell you you can, but you missed that voice saying, "Are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure?" You know, and it's really, and that's just one part of it. That's just one part of it.
So many layers to grief, and it impacts every part of your life, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I admire people like you because it's hard to sit with somebody with grief, especially if you've experienced your own. Because I'm not speaking for you, but I think, you know, since it happened to me and I've talked to people about grief, I still have to protect myself a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm still not over it. I'm still coping, you know, if I'm honest. You know, I had bereavement counselling, and she was brilliant because she taught me, the biggest thing she taught me was I am a thinker and not a feeler. I think to get myself out of feeling, and I think of ways to avoid how I'm feeling, and I think of ways to not sit with my feelings, or I did. And she really broke it down, and it changed my life to a degree that I understand when certain things come into my body, sensations, feelings, whatever they are, that I try to understand them. You know, I try to acknowledge them and where they're coming from. And it hurts sometimes. You know, it hurts sometimes. But it was, well, we're on now the 20, what's the date today? 21st. So it's my birthday in 5 days. But it was 2 years since my mum passed on the 6th of Feb. So that whole thing has changed for me in that sense. And, you know, people deal with grief in different ways. And for me, I have a picture of her and I look at her and I smile. I stay at her house and she's in a box on the table, but I can't bear to look at it. Do you understand what I mean? And my younger sister won't come to the house. She can't. She just said, I can't do that. So she's been dealing with her own grief. My other sister deals with her grief differently. You know, me and my younger sister fell out, but we've now worked our way back because we've met each other where we are now.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that my mum protected us from each other. Do you know what I mean? And she kept certain things back that either one of us was saying about each other, but so she protected us from that. And all of a sudden that's not there.
Yeah.
And things from years ago come out, don't they? And they start to kind of really pollute that emotion.
Yeah.
And so you must experience a lot of that.
I mean, personally as well, I can understand when you say about how you have to protect yourself from that grief, because 2 years, it's not a long time at all. Since you lost your mum, it's not long, and you're still trying to get used to the idea that she's no longer here, and even though it doesn't feel as raw, personally for me, it doesn't feel as raw, but it's still really, really tough. It's really hard. Some days are better than others, and some days it just hits you like a ton of bricks, but it does bring up so much stuff from the past, which you think, where the hell did that come from? I don't understand it. Where did that come from? And just gets you thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So
it does.
much. But
But
it's
then,
reunited you and your sister and brought you back together.
yeah, and I think it's made all three of us reevaluate our positions, you know what I mean? And that we are all that we have, you know, because you have an extended family and all of a sudden, you know, when that person's not there anymore, you realize that they also go.
Yeah.
They have their own families, you know, and you think actually the communication between us was very, very, very rare. We'd only see
Mm,
each other at family things.
yeah.
And you know, and so then, but then there's also that anger, that animosity, as in, hang on a minute, if it was my mum and if it was you that had passed, my mum would make sure that you were okay, you know, that you made
Yeah.
sure that you weren't on your own. And then there's that expectation.
Mm,
My mum would do it for you, so why can't you do it for us? And you're like, then you start to wrestle with that, and then there's that bitterness bubbles in, don't it?
mm,
And
yeah.
and and then so for me, when my mum died, my uncle died 7 months later. He just dropped dead. And then my aunt passed, I think, 5 or 6 months after that of cancer. So
Oh,
within 18 months, you know, we've lost like the
me.
three eldest members of our family. But then I found myself supporting my cousins that had lost their mum. They were slightly younger than me because it the time that had passed between my mum and his mum was a year, but it seemed like she'd been forgotten about. And the focus now is on this person.
Yeah.
And I think there was a little bit of resentment there for me. And then I was like, actually, no, you know, life still goes on. You know, we have to adapt to this kind of thing. And at the moment, this person needs me because he knows that I understand him and it helps me. You
Yeah.
know, it helps me in that sense. And I I was really looking forward to talking to you, but there was also a part of me thinking, like, I know at some point I'm going to go and I'm going to allow myself to do that if it happens
Yeah.
because I don't normally do that in that sense. And so yeah, so I think if I'm being honest, there was a selfish part of me that really wanted to kind of cling on you to you in a way, you know what I mean? And
Mm,
kind of just, you
mm.
know, have that kind of that open dialogue with you.
But why
So
selfish though? Why are you saying selfish? It's not.
well, no, maybe it's not. You know, the intention was obviously for us to connect and for me to understand, but I think there was a part of me also that was kind of like, you know, I still think I need to talk. You know, I don't want to turn it into a therapy session, but at the same time, talking is therapy anyway.
Yeah. And keep talking. Don't shut yourself down. Keep talking about it because even though your mum's physical presence is not here no more, she's still here. She
Mm,
still lives inside of you. She's still there. So keep
yeah.
talking. Don't feel like you don't need you'd have to stop talking about her because no, keep it
I
up.
don't, I don't really talk about her. I talk about it to my sisters. Like, we'll reminisce. Do you know what I mean? And Mark and I would say, like, my mum would have loved to have come to Spain. She would have loved to have come to France, and so would his mum because he lost his mum 18 months before mine of cancer as well.
Yeah.
But the one thing they say is, we just get on with it. Don't talk about it. And it's like
Mm,
we've not been given permission to grieve somebody that we love, somebody that was part of
no.
our lives. Do you understand what I
Mm.
mean? Do you find that? Do you find that with people that you're counselling?
Yeah, it's not talked about enough, and it's you. Society expects you to get over your loss and grief after a couple of weeks. They think, oh, it's been a couple of weeks. Oh, what, you're still upset? You're still sad? Yeah, I've lost a really important person in my life. You're not just going to get over it. Just like, well, we'll never get over it, will we?
Hmm.
It's always going to be a part of us. It's
Yeah.
always going to trigger us at some point. It could be a smell. It could be something that comes on the telly or a song. It will take you back to that moment or a memory with that person. It's never going to
Hmm.
go away. So many people feel like they need permission to grieve and talk about it. And that's why a lot of people don't reach out for counselling, grief counselling as well.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Is it because, I mean, yeah, why do you think that is?
Because society expects us, it's just mental health in general, isn't it? Not spoken about enough, not encouraged enough to talk about your feelings or just cry. People say, don't cry, don't cry. Oh, it's all right, don't cry, get over it. They're in a better place. I hate that. They're in a better place. They're out of their pain. They're out of their misery. Oh, it really gets on my nerves, that does, when people say that to you. No, we're not going to get over it just like that. It pisses me off, actually. And then people, like you said, people just get on with their life. And then they forget that actually Lee's lost his mum. You can't just forget about it. And then people carry on like normal, and then they see you and they don't even mention the person that's gone.
No, that's true. I found that a lot of people that she knew were like, yeah, you know, if you need anything, just give me a shout. And you kind of like, I know you're playing lip service, but I appreciate that, you know what I mean? And then there's always the one person that will drop a little call, drop a little text, the one person you least expected.
Yeah.
And you kind of, and you think, actually, you know, that is really nice of them to do that.
And have you found that people that have been through a loss are the ones that reach out to you because they know what the pain is like? They know what you're going through. They know it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's still sitting there inside our body, inside our head. It's still there.
Yeah, they're the ones they get. They don't have to even to explain. But yeah, in that sense. And so obviously everybody's different in the way that things impact us and the way that we cope and deal with things, in that sense. So for you, navigating, supporting people, but also acknowledging your own grief, how did you find that?
When Michael died, I was lost for about a year. So I left the hospice. I was on a break from the hospice and I was going to go back, but then decided I couldn't go back. I couldn't actually sit there and listen to people because I was still in such a terrible way. Because he died suddenly. So it wasn't like I knew he had an illness or anything. He died and he was found and he'd been dead a few days. So the trauma there around that. So I thought, I can't carry on with the hospice. I can't do that. And I didn't do any counselling, supporting people for about a year because I wasn't in the right space to do that. And it wouldn't have been fair to try and support people because I just wouldn't be able to do it. I'd probably cause more damage to them if I had have thought, you know, I'm just going to still carry on and do it. I had to get myself together and I had to have grief counselling myself as well because I was like a recluse. I was stuck. I wasn't seeing anyone. I wasn't talking to anyone. I'd lost so much weight. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I was a hot mess. Honestly, I was. And I thought, I can't carry on like this. I need to get some help. So I reached out for help and I got help through the NHS. I got grief counselling through the NHS. She was amazing. She was the best counsellor. And, you know, being a counsellor yourself, I always think I'm going to judge people that are counsellors. Oh, you're shit. You're doing that wrong. Why are you saying that? Why are you? But she was absolutely brilliant, and she helped me get through that grief. And then I went on holiday. And then I thought, right, I'm going to start my own business, start my private practice. It was tough. It was hard to pick myself up and try and move forward. It changed me so much, Michael dying. It made me appreciate every tiny little thing about life. So grateful to still be here. So grateful that I'm breathing today. So grateful for people like you that are helping others and are there supporting men as well. That's what I'm passionate about as well.
Yeah, I can hear that in your voice. You know, I really can. It does change you, doesn't it? You know, it changes you. I mean, I think one of the things that made me look at my mortality, you know, I know that, you know, how my life was and things that I'd done to myself and, you know, the way that I abused myself and stuff like that, you know, with drugs and alcohol and stuff. And then when my mum passed, it's almost like you're waiting for something to happen. Like you're waiting for something to go right now. There's your call. There's your cue. You know, do something. But you're just going through these motions of just showing up in a disguise that people will accept whilst behind it, you're just literally just trying to kind of keep yourself together. And I was on my own, you know what I mean? Like I'd moved, I moved in with my mum for 3 months, left Mark in France. My sisters would come round, all their friends would come round, but I was living in her bedroom. You know what I mean? That's where I was. That's where I stayed. I kept myself there. I didn't go out. I didn't do nothing. I just stayed there and I just smoked weed because I'd stopped drinking. And I knew that for me, with smoking weed, once I went home, I didn't have access to it. And I didn't do it. It was just a way for me to cope with that situation. My
Yeah.
sisters could go home, could get in their own beds, and I couldn't. I had nobody. And my mum's downstairs. You know, she's laying in this hospital bed thing, and you know, she's not the person that I remembered. And I used to hate going downstairs, Karen. You know, because I didn't want to see it like that. And but I couldn't leave her alone. She had a bed in the front room, so you could walk in the front room. You can come downstairs. You can either go in the front room here, but we couldn't open the door because the bed was there, or you'd walk around through the kitchen and come through the other way. And I'd always get to the kitchen door and I'd just peer just to see if she was awake or not. Because I think if she's asleep, I can leave her. Because it meant I had to look at her, and she didn't look like the person that I knew.
Yeah.
And these are all things that you have to battle with and pretend. And my mum said to me, "Don't lie." You know what I mean? Like, let's not do that shit. Let's just be honest with each other. And I remember one night we sat down and we had a conversation. And I said to Mark, I said, I don't know what to say to her. And as I said, he's my past before, and he went, ask her about her. Find out about her. Talk to her. Find out who she is. And I was like, okay. And that was the best thing that he ever done to me, because I spoke to my mum and found out about her before she had kids, what she wanted to do, her aspirations, her goals, what she wanted to do in life, and all that stuff. And that really helped,
Yeah.
because then I wasn't seeing my mum. I was seeing Myra, and I was like, this woman, man, you know what I mean? Like, she's incredible. And it made it a bit more easier for me to deal with, because I was looking at a person rather than looking at something that she was to me. She died on a Sunday. She said to me, we used to joke about, like, what do you want? She went, I want all my friends around me, bro. I mean, what are you, we're not the fucking Waltons, do you know what I mean? She went, but you need to give me the heads up, because we had a lot of humour into it. She went, yeah, I'll let you know, I'll let you know. Anyway, this Sunday, everybody was in the house, and that's when she passed. And didn't cry, never cried up until that point. And I remember I was walking around this bed tidying up, making myself busy, and I wanted to touch her and I couldn't. And I was getting closer and closer, and I wanted to touch her and I couldn't. And I was sitting on the bed and I touched her arm, and it just came out. I let it out. Like, it was the first time I'd actually let my emotions. And I wowed. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I wowed. Everybody left because they didn't know how to deal with it. And when I came out, I was like, well, I'm good. And people were just kind of like, and people don't know how to respond to that.
No.
And that's what makes it even more isolating, is kind of, you want someone to give you the approval and go, you know what, you've done right by letting that out. Or someone go, you should have kept that to yourself. But there's nothing.
Yeah. It's even
And
worse.
yeah. And, you know, there's nothing. And everybody just made themselves busy and disappeared. And you have that whole period of getting ready for the funeral and stuff. And then after that, that's it.
Nothing.
That's it.
Everyone goes back to normal. Phone calls stop, messages stop.
I just couldn't. But lucky enough for me, I went back to France. So I'd already consciously detached myself from everything. And I was like, I just wanted to go home and regroup and find out where I was, and take my dogs out and cry in the fields and listen to music and stuff, because that was the only way that I knew I could provoke an emotion. Because for me as a man, and a lot of men that I meet, an emotion is the thing that we lock up and chuck away the key.
Yeah.
We don't show no one none of that. You know,
suppress it, you push it down.
yeah, men like me, we don't show no emotion. We keep it together because we have to. It's the expectation, it's the rule. We don't show nothing. And I needed to change that. I needed to change that. And I remember I recorded myself once crying, and I was like, I don't want to release this. People are going to think I'm doing it for this reason. And it wasn't. I needed to do it for me. And I watched it a couple of times after, and I was like, the first thing I thought was, fucking hell, you're an ugly cry. And the second thing I thought was, I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
Like,
thank you. Yes.
I'm really proud of you for doing that. And I released it. I let it go. Didn't think nothing of it, because I didn't want it to dictate. And I remember some of the messages I got were just kind of like, mate, you know, I really appreciate this. They're like, you know, thank you. And I was, it blows you away, because people, it's almost like people need someone to give them permission and go, look, it's all right for you to do this. It's okay, you know. And so for you, go on.
Seeing you doing it gives other men permission to think, well, you know what, it's all right. I can do that. I can let my guard down. I can let go of all my armor, and I can just release it and cry.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it helped many other men to go and do the same thing. I hope so.
I hope so. I mean so many men that just can't. They just can't. They just can't do it. You know, it's something that's so conditioned in them that they can't. They go, I can't do it, man. It's like, well, don't. You don't have to. But acknowledge the fact that there's a feeling there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you haven't got to cry. You haven't got, but just acknowledge the fact there's a feeling there and it's attached to that. Then you know that you're aware of it. You know, in that sense. And I think, you know, it's about talking about it like this.
Yeah.
You talk like me. So if you was my grief counselor, we would click because it's like hearing me.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we forget that, you know, we can be as, I've got qualifications coming out my arse. They don't mean fuck all. But the experience that I've had and the experiences I've gone through,
Exactly.
that's it there.
Yeah.
Because you get it, you understand it.
Yeah. Because we've
And
walked
so,
in other people's shoes and we know what it's like and we felt it. And I tell you what, I'd have to come on again to tell you about some of the other stuff that's happened in my past and what's led me to fucked
listen,
up.
this is your space, man. You can take it wherever you want.
Yeah, but there's too long. There's too
Don't
long.
worry.
There's too much to say. There's too much to say.
We can split it over to it. It doesn't matter. But listen,
Yeah.
whatever you feel comfortable with. It doesn't have to flow. It can go wherever you want. You know what I mean? Because it's going to appeal to a lot of people. So bringing it back to you. So you stepped away from the hospice, and then for you, it was about understanding your grief journey.
Yeah. It was trying to begin again and put one foot in front of the other and start living and not just existing, because that's all I was doing. I was just existing and not doing anything. I feel sorry for my other half that year that I was just like a recluse. I was a shell of who I am. I don't know how he's still here. I don't know how he stayed with me, because I was a right bitch when I was grieving. I was horrible. Just stuck in my room, miserable, sad, crying. Oh, I don't know. Thank God I'm here to tell the tale, because suicidal thoughts I had. I thought, what's the point in being here? What am I doing? Michael's gone. Now there's nothing else to live for. It's just your thoughts that you get at that time. It's just madness, isn't it? Absolutely madness. How your mind takes over when you're in that low depressive state. You can see how people. You've been on the receiving end of it as well, haven't you? Suicide. Yeah. Have you had a couple of suicide attempts?
I've had two. I had 2 attempts within kind of 6 or 7 weeks of each other, because I was there. This was like about 8 years ago, you know, and this was stuff that had been building up over decades. And I tried to self-medicate with alcohol and drugs and sex and porn and all that sort of stuff, and it just didn't work. You know, it filled a gap for a second. When I got the dopamine high, it was good, and then it went. But but again, like I said at the beginning, I was a thinker, not a feeler. So I'd think, I don't want to visit that. Let's just get drunk. Let's just fucking stick copious amounts of drugs up my nose and smoke shit. Do you know what I mean? And escape it. And it didn't work because I wouldn't sit with myself. I hated sitting with myself because it meant I had to face me, and I didn't want to do that.
It was hard to sit with those emotions. It was hard to deal with it and cope with it and think about it. And so many people use so many different coping skills to get through it. And that's what leads them to drug and alcohol addictions. And it can be food, it can be shopping, it can be porn, it can be exercise. It's so many things that people can turn to.
Yeah, you don't realise it, do you?
No.
You don't realise it at all. I mean, look, I still fuck up. I still get things wrong, but I'm trying to find what works for me. But where I am now is, I don't think there's enough time to learn all the shit that I wanted to learn. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, I just feed me information. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, there's so much I want to do, and I think, how am I going to do it all? I'm getting older now.
Getting wiser, love. You're getting wiser.
Yeah, older and wiser. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So when you was in that kind of low depressive mood and you was trying to figure stuff out, what was you kind of connecting with to kind of bring yourself out of that?
I was trying all sorts of stuff. I think because I wasn't sleeping, as well. I would like wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'd be wide awake and I'd only had a couple of hours sleep. So I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, I wasn't looking after myself. And all that added together is a combination of what leads you as well to your decline in your mental health, as well as grieving. I was depressed. And I think I kept trying all these different things. They weren't working. And I just thought, you know what? I'm a counsellor and I need to reach out for counselling. I can't help myself. I could not help myself because I've got all the knowledge. I'm a trained grief counsellor and I could not help myself. And that was the worst thing about it. So I thought I need to reach out. And I waited a couple of months for counselling, but then I was shitting myself before starting because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know whether it was going to work. Is it going to help me through my grief? You know, telling myself all the things that I shouldn't be telling myself because I'm a counsellor. God's sake. But it worked. So I'd recommend it to anyone. Go and get yourself some grief counselling, because if you're stuck and you can't see no way out and you're sinking and sinking and sinking and sinking and you can't pull yourself out of it, you need to get help. You need to reach your hand out for help.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't think that you need to have lost somebody recently to access any kind of grief counselling, because it doesn't matter how long ago that person passed, it will still impact you if you've not actually dealt with it. You know, as you said earlier on, it stays within us. And to have somebody offer you a bit of space and say, tell me how you're feeling, you know, and I'll come with you and I'll sit there with you, you know, it's so empowering.
Yeah.
So that's why
and
I
that's
think
a good point.
is wicked.
That's a good point. You saying that it could have happened years ago. If you haven't dealt with it, it's still there. It's not going away. It's still going to be there. And then if you get other things that happen in your life that impact you, like other traumas, other people die, then that adds to what's already going on for you. And that can affect your grief even more. And it will hit you even harder if you haven't dealt with your past traumas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's such a big fact. And also then, so with that said, so going forward, you know, obviously moving forward as well after losing, maybe like, as I said, I lost 3 people in quick succession over 18 months. You do start to question your immortality. You do start to question, like, you know, how long have I got left? My mum was 64. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm thinking to myself in my head, I've got to make it to 64. So I'm already on that timeline that's been set for me. I can't escape that. So it pops into my mind and I'm like, oh, I'm turning 50 in a year's time. You know, I've only got like, you know, 14 years left. And then I think, but for me, my nan was 82 when she died. And my uncle was 69 and my other aunt was 64. She was a couple of years younger than mine when she died. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, that's a cluster.
Yeah, it is.
I'm the eldest grandchild. There's only 4 aunts left. Yeah, 4. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, then I'm next. So that's how I was thinking about it in my head. And I have to admit, when I was speaking to my sisters and that was going, yeah, we thought the same thing. Like, we were looking at it from, because it was like my mum, who was the second eldest, and my uncle was the eldest, and then my aunt, who was the third.
Yeah.
And so you can't help but think about that as well. So what would you suggest or say or talk about with somebody that was feeling that way?
Well, it's natural for you to start thinking about death and your own mortality, because it makes you think about who you are, what you bring to the world, what is your purpose. It's natural to think about that. But then I think as when someone first dies, when your mum first died, it's like it's a complete shock to your body, isn't it? It's a complete shock to your system. And you don't know where to go, what to do. Your thoughts run away with you. You think, shit, what about me? How am I going to die? Am I going to go the same way? What's going to happen to me? It's natural. It's normal. But how do you find it now? Are you still thinking about it now?
I think what's happening now is it's become a catalyst, as in, you know, as I said, for me, it's like I've got a lot of things I want to do, but I don't feel there's enough time. And I have to keep telling myself that if I look after myself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you know, and try to align in that sense and understand that I don't need everything. I just need the things that are important to me. I've had to work that out for myself. And that's why, you know, building bridges with my sister, it's kind of like, look, you know, I can chuck all that old shit at you, but it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, let me just kind of meet you where you are. I love you. You know, I need you in my life. And she was the same thing. I think all three of us have gone through this adventure of working out who we are and where we sit. Because we have to, you know, you obviously you find the dynamics, it changes. So you've all got to readjust in that sense. And I think my sister, she kind of worked out that for her, she needed to make some changes. And she said, like, she reached out to a lot of friends and she's then started to realize who cared. And it
Yeah.
made her think about, well, who do I care about? Do you understand what I mean? And that's how
Yeah.
we found our way back to each other. She sent me a really nice text, and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Fuck it, let's do it." Do you know what I mean? And now we talk probably once a week, and we're all good, you know, and we are growing together in that sense. Um, it wasn't. I think for me, because I've done a lot of work on myself, I stopped drinking, I stopped taking drugs, and I was in a good place when my mum died. I think if I was still in that same place, I know for a fact I would not be in it. I know that for a fact because I would have used that as an excuse. My mum just died. You know, give me that drink. My mum just died. My mum had a battle with cancer. That would have been what would have been coming out of my mouth. I know that. But
Yeah.
now I don't talk about it a lot. It's not because I don't want to talk about it. It's because I don't need to talk about it.
No.
I talk about it when I need to, you know, and I need to talk about it now with you, you know, in that sense. Because
Yeah.
it's you're giving somebody something of yourself that's really personal. And you're sharing something with somebody that, you know, they should be privileged to be part of that in a sense. Am I right in thinking that? And so
Yeah.
and so with that, it's kind of like you do pick who you bring in and go, look, I'm going to tell you something now because I trust you, you know, in that sense. But it's an unwalked path when you lose a parent. And what happens is a lot of the badness, the arguments, the fights, the shit, all the stuff that went on and all those previous years to that falls away. It all falls away, you know. And I look at my mom completely differently now. I look at her for the man that she raised. Do you understand what I mean? Whereas
Yeah.
before I was kind of like, she done this and she'd say that. But now like I look at her, I remember, you know, for me, it's the man that she raised. And so for me, it's about leaving the legacy. It's about me making her proud. In that sense. And, you know, and I think it's important that we as men and, you know, in the whole society that we allow ourselves to talk about how we feel when we lose somebody that we love, because we just feel that we just have to just be good for everybody. And you can't be
Be
good.
strong.
You can't be good when you're suffering. You know, you really
You
can't.
can't. No, you can't, because
Mm-mm.
something's got to give. You can't keep going on like that. But men do, don't they? They keep going on, masking it, hiding it, and then it comes out in other ways.
Yeah, that's
Comes
so
out with
true.
sickness, illness, addictions, unhealthy coping mechanisms. It all comes out, and because it needs a release somewhere.
Yeah, it does. And I think sometimes we want people to feel the pain that we're feeling. That's some people's reactions. You know, if I make you feel this, you understand how I'm feeling because we can't articulate it. And I think if we've been conditioned to avoid our emotions, then sometimes we forget that we are allowed to feel about certain things. Do you know what I mean? And I'm trying not to generalize it. I'm just trying to talk from my perspective and what I've
Yeah,
learned. Do
yeah.
you know what I mean? In that sense. But um, I was going to ask you. So from that point, and then you started, you know, knowing that you was capable of running your own private practice.
Mm.
How's that changed your life?
Freedom.
There's a song in there somewhere right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not going to sing because my voice is terrible. You'll end the Zoom call immediately if you have me singing.
He'd be like,
Yeah, shut up. Definitely.
it would be like what is it? The thing where they go,
X Factor.
that's it, X Factor.
Is it X Factor? It is.
Yeah.
It would definitely.
Yeah. So for you, running your own practice now, you know, what's it like? What's it done for you?
It's you said it before, it's such a privilege to sit with people. And I'm trying to target my audience towards men, but then I don't want to generalize it towards men, because then I don't want to scare women off.
Yeah.
Because I want to help everybody, but I can't help everybody. But like what you're saying, men are conditioned to think that it's not okay to talk about their feelings. It's not okay to talk about what's really going on for them, what they're thinking, what they're feeling. I would love to help every single man on this planet to know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to talk about what's going on for you. But how can I do that? I can't. I'm only one woman.
Just keep being you. Just keep being you, because you'll tell somebody something and then they'll tell somebody else, and that's how it is. That's how it works. You know, and I always say this, and this is my go-to: we're just passing on knowledge. That's all we're doing. You know what I mean? And so anything that you have to say, the right people will hear, and then they'll pass it on. So you're doing fucking amazing, man. Celia. So so are you? Go on. Sorry, I was going to say I was going to bring you back, but you noticed that.
I skirted around the question a little bit.
Yeah.
I deflected onto something else. What does it bring to me?
I don't listen. I see that coming a mile off, love.
I don't know. It just feels. It feels like it's my own little project that I'm working on. I can put into it what I want to put into it. I can do what I want to do, like doing this podcast with you. I created my own website as well. Did that. That was hard work. That was really good. I did that because it was something that I really wanted to do, that was important for me as Karen, not as my business. It was important for me, and it'll help. It's helping me to grow. It's helping me to become a better version of myself. All this hard work that I'm putting in, it's not easy, is it? It's not easy doing all this stuff. So it makes me stronger, and it gives me more knowledge as well. You know, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. You really can. And most of my clients think they're not capable of anything. They can't put the work in. They can't do it. They can't overcome these struggles that they're going through. But you can do anything. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. I'm proof of that.
It's true. So true. So your confidence is like, by going out on your own and doing things for you, has that kind of impacted your confidence?
Oh, it's gone through the roof. I tell you. Yes. I'm so glad I invested in myself and I did it. It's powerful.
Say that again. Really
powerful.
No, before that.
Invested in myself.
That's the one right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one right there. Top yourself up, mate. Acknowledge, you know. I don't know about you, but some of the clients that I work with, they're really reluctant. The reluctancy to work with a coach, which is different from a counsellor, is that they want to see something tangible for their money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. You know, what you're investing in is the future you. Before you pass that baton on from where you are now, you need to make sure that that version that you're giving it to is better than where you are now. And sometimes that is about doing something repetitively over and over again as a practice. And some people, when you break it down like that, they're like, oh, right, okay. So it's like, I want you to go and tell me you want to be in 12 months' time. Think about it. Whatever it is you want to do, dream big. Come back to me next week and we'll sit and work on it. And then people can start to see. Do you know what I mean? Like they can start to see.
Yeah.
And so for you now, so when you said about the website, I really got that. I really got that. I understood that. Because we had a little conversation about websites, didn't we? You know what I mean? And I'd done mine. I started mine. I kept tweaking it, because it had to look right for me. Like it wasn't about anybody else. Obviously, it's about generating leads and obviously clients, but it was under my control.
Your little baby.
Yeah. And I see when you said that, you like me and you kind of come from the same place with that. It's like it was for Karen, nobody else, but for Karen.
Yeah.
So who is Karen?
I'm crazy. I'm sarcastic. I'm kind. I love being around people. my people, not just any old people, my people.
Yeah.
That really get me. The connections there, you can have deep conversations with, the bonds there. You can go and do stuff together. I love cooking.
Really? What's your favourite dish? Come on, man. I might come on your house for dinner one day, so I need to know what's on offer.
Yeah. Well, I can cook anything and everything, I think. Anything I put my hand to, I can cook it.
All right. I'll come around to yours, love.
Good curry.
Oh, I'm there then.
Roasting up.
You too. I'm there to stay for the weekend.
You're welcome. I've got a spare room.
I'm there. Don't tell me where you live, because people will know that. People looking at your front door saying, "Is it curry night or is it roast?" You know what I mean? So go on. Who else are you
then? I'm a human.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a daughter. I'm a friend. I'm a partner. I'm a cat mum. I'm a bitch.
I'm nodding my head like I think I know. I'm just like, yeah, she is. I don't know. You're one of the first people when I asked this question, you actually sat there and you started rattling off things. A lot of people, when you ask that question, they tell you what their job title is, or they tell you how many kids they've got. It says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it says a lot.
It does.
But you're still rattling off loads of things about who you are, because I think a lot of us don't realise how multifaceted we are.
Yeah.
We don't have to be one thing.
No, we're not one thing. We're a multitude of things. There's a whole load of other things that I am. I'm a decorator.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a driver. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah.
Own that shit, man.
Yeah, I put my hand to it.
I like when you looked around and you went, yeah, actually, I am. I've done that.
I decorated this room.
I want to kind of bring it back to the grief thing again, because I think it's really important that we have this conversation, a man and a woman, because a lot of couples, straight couples, will be a man and a woman, and men and women express emotions differently. So then when you spin it and you've got two men or two women in a relationship, you're not expressing what you should be expressing. Because as a man in a relationship with a man, especially married to somebody that doesn't talk, and that's his prerogative, that's his choice, and with somebody that wants to talk or has learned how to talk, that can become a little bit difficult sometimes.
I can resonate with that.
Do you know what I mean? And you're kind of thinking, okay, so I want to tell you about my feelings, but I know that it's not met how I want it to be met. And again, that's no fault, there's no blame. It's just understanding that person doesn't think the same way. Do you know what I mean? And that was a little bit difficult, because the hardest thing was that my mum had a relationship with Mark as well, and he didn't get the opportunity to say bye to her.
Yeah.
He was coming over probably a week after she died, so he really booked in, so we didn't get that chance. And I completely never saw that. I didn't see that, until he said to me, like, I didn't even get a chance to say bye. And I was kind of like, fuck. It's like, he had a relationship with this woman. Like, he loved this woman, she loved him. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't know how to talk to him about it, because I didn't think it was mine to talk about. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
How am I trying to word this? How am I trying to think about it in my head? So there's loads of words in my brain, in my mind, and I'm trying to collect the right ones to make the sentence. And I just think it was difficult for two men to talk about grief, both of their parents, their mums, big influences in their life, to talk about how that feels. We talk about it every now and again, reminiscing in a sort of sense, but not how it made us feel. And so that presents a different set of problems, a different set of struggles, because you're trying to comfort each other. You don't know how to do it.
Don't know how to do it.
No. You give them a cuddle and you're like, oh, there. But there's nothing. It's just, I know how you feel.
But sometimes there is no words that can comfort other people through their grief. Sometimes just your physical presence, being there, just giving him a cuddle, that is comfort in itself, because what can you say to take away someone's pain of grief? There's nothing you can say, is there?
No, there's nothing. I suppose you're right. There isn't.
There's nothing at all that you can say. It's not going to make it feel any easier. The fact that Mark wasn't able to say bye to your mum, you're not going to be able to take that away. You can't change it.
Mm. And that is true. I don't think about it like that.
Mm.
It's more like a comfort thing than anything else.
Yeah.
Do you work with children, so under 16s?
No.
No. And I'm assuming that counselling for children is a lot different to adults.
Yeah, it is. You have to work differently, and you have to, because counselling is not regulated. Anyone can go and be a counsellor. You can go and say you're a counsellor.
Mm.
So there are counsellors that do go and work with children that are not qualified, haven't gone and done the training. But personally, myself, I wouldn't want to do that. I'd want to, if I was to work with children, I want to go and get the training to do so. I can work with over 12-year-olds. Sure, I can, but I wouldn't want to unless I'd had more training.
Yeah, I totally get that.
On it, because it's a different way of working.
Yeah,
and you're accountable to the parents as well.
Yeah, of course you are. Well,
and there's safeguarding around it, and you have to discuss things with the parents, and so then you've got the parents and the child, and it's more complex working with children.
Mm. Who do you prefer to work with?
What do you mean, men or women?
Yeah,
men.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Women are so different. Blah, 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 blah. Women just talk and 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 talk, don't they?
Keep me out of this argument, love. I value my life too much.
Most women can, anyway. Most women are just like...
Sweeping statement there. So you prefer men because women talk a lot.
Working with men is so much different. Men can do the work easier and quicker when it comes to counselling than what women can. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I totally, there's a different way of thinking, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Different approach. Yeah. Different work. Even the words that you use is different when it comes to working with men and women. There is definitely you're more
Men just put their all into it. Once I've reached out for therapy, this is my experience anyway, 99% of the men that I've worked with will do the work and are happy to dig deep. Majority of them, not all of them, but majority.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Well, because I think, I mean, I work with predominantly men, but I work with a lot of women as well. That sounds like I'm contradicting myself there, but I'm not. And I find that men, I agree with you. You give a men a task and they'll do it. Yeah. But if you ask them for feedback and ask them for what's not working, I'd always say, no, it's all working. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Listen, you're human first, right? And you're not perfect. But with women, I find that when I work with women, I'm very mindful of what I say and how I say it. I tread very carefully, but I'm still quite direct and I'm still honest, but I'm very tactile. With a man, I'm like, look, dude, tell me what you want. All right. Yeah. This is that what you want. And then we work through the shit. It's like, right, now I know what you need. We're working on that, in that sense. With women, I tend to give them a bit more space to kind of like
think it through, process it, ruminate it.
Which is funny and ironic at the same time because men don't talk. But yet, men will take direction if they feel that there's going to be a benefit at the end. Do you know what I mean? In that sense. Like, I've learned a lot from working with men, and I've realised that we're all the same in a way. We keep everything we have to ourselves.
Yeah. Deep.
Until somebody comes along and goes, dude, let's have a look at what you got in there.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, let's come on, let's have a look. And then I find it easier telling somebody something if I can feel something on somebody, and I'm like, okay, let me just drop this in there, let me see where this lands, and let me see who connects to it. You know what I mean? And then I'll take it from there.
Yeah.
Because I've worked on my shit for so long, and I know what I'm capable of doing and what I'm not capable of doing, and I know where to go with things, and I know where not to go. And if I'm wrong, I'll stand there and go, totally miscalled that. I apologize. Something I would never have done before. Because it's all about them. You know, it's about helping them. And so for you with men, when men come for grief counselling with you, have they come off their own back, or have they been kind of told that they should go?
I think it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some don't recognise that they need to reach out for help and things are going wrong in their life and they're not coping very well. But some just go for it.
Yeah. So those ones that don't recognise it and not coping well, what sort of habits or behaviours are they presenting with?
Oh, anxiety, depression, not coping very well at all with life, spiralling, doing things that they shouldn't be doing, not looking after themselves, eating, drinking shit, completely not looking after themselves. Yeah.
And so I don't expect you to disclose anything that you talk to about your clients, but with men like that, when is it that you're working with? What point that you're working with them that do they start to realise that they're actually neglecting themselves? And they start going, actually, do you know what? I didn't see that because I was so in this that I didn't even see that, you know, that I wasn't even showering.
Pretty quick.
It's
pretty quick. Yeah. With, like I say, with men, it's, I don't want to say easier, but they recognise what they need to do sooner than what a woman would.
And so what I'm trying to understand here from my point of view is that I always find that once you talk to a man, you connect with him and you start telling them what they're telling you so they can hear it back, that then they start to go, oh, I didn't realize that. You know, I didn't know that I said that. I didn't, you know, I wasn't aware that I was coming across like that. Or they go, that's not what I meant. I meant this in that sense. Once men have been given that knowledge and that understanding and that time, especially for somebody, you know, that's going through grief, do you notice what kind of changes do you notice in them?
Then they start taking back control of who they are and implementing good things into their life, because it's not all about your mind, is it? I encourage clients to look after themselves, everything, mind, body, soul, spirit, whatever it is that they like doing, because it all complements each other. If you don't look after your body, it's going to affect your mind. If you don't nourish your body with the foods that you need to be eating, it's going to affect your mind. So it's slowly adapting their life and adding the good things in. And then once they start doing that, they normally notice the differences, and then they start adding more and more goodness into their life. And it's great to see.
Yeah.
In front of your eyes, it really is.
Yeah, yeah, that moment when someone gets it, like
Yeah.
you can't explain that moment to somebody. They have to feel it, and then when they do, you see it, and they're like, "You got it in you." They're like, "Yeah, it's like you got it." It's like, you're never going to forget that. Now. Like you're going to build from that moment onwards.
Yeah.
And I think that's like in any kind of transition, really, ain't it? You know, once you feel that shift, that whole trajectory changes.
Yeah, everything changes. It's ripples into everything in your life, and then you think, what else can I do? Well, that's me anyway. What else can I do? What can I do now?
How do you look after yourself? How do you protect yourself from what people are sharing with you?
It's so important, self-care as a counsellor. You can't neglect your self-care, because if you neglect your self-care, then you're in trouble. You burn out, you end up feeling like shit yourself, and you take it all on. So I go to the gym, I practice meditation, or I'm trying to practice meditation. It's so hard, isn't it?
I love it though.
Really hard.
Yeah, you're kind of like, okay. I think it's the sitting. What do you find hard?
The thoughts that keep coming in, and just trying to be there in the moment. And it's just thoughts that are hitting you, and you think, where did that come from? Why am I even thinking that? What the hell? I'm getting annoyed with myself for thinking, no, just concentrate, just stay in the moment,
Karen. Come on, Karen. I have the same problem. You know, all these like these thoughts coming to your head, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, and then you have to bring it back to your breathing, don't you? You know, in that sense. And
I've just started sound baths.
Have you?
Have you ever been to a sound bath?
No, I keep looking at it and I'm like, but I'm really heavily into yoga, so maybe that might be something I might explore later on.
I've been to 2 so far. It's brilliant.
Are they?
Really good. Yeah.
What they do?
It's in a woman's house. There's a really small group of you, and it's really an enclosed space, quite confined. And she comes over you with all her instruments. You lay there, got a blanket over you, eye mask. She comes over you with the instruments. And it's just amazing. The first time I went, it was like an all over body experience. I was all tingly, I felt all cold, and then I just felt fantastic. The whole day I felt fantastic. I went on Sunday and I fell asleep.
That's a good thing, no?
Yeah, she said it's normal for you to fall asleep. It's all right.
You know what? I could really do something like that, to be fair. That'd be really cool.
I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I think I would actually. You know what I mean? Karen, where can people find you?
In Essex.
Oh. I can give you a phone number and address. You know, I'm going out for Sunday dinner, so come.
No, sorry.
No, don't apologize, man. You know, like you said, you use humor.
Yeah, I do. And I bring that into my counselling as well. I just want to add that into my sessions with clients. I think humour is so important. And I don't put the professional hat on. I try to bring as much as myself into the session as I can, because that makes them feel comfortable as well.
Yeah, definitely. You know, as you said before, you know, coaching is different to counselling. I mean, obviously, counselling is it obviously you're being a grief counsellor, it's going to be person-centered, it's going to be led by them. Do you share or do you disclose certain things about yourself with them if you feel it's right, or do you just kind of keep it back?
If I feel it's appropriate, I do, but not always, because it's not about me. It's about them.
Yeah, I totally get that. That's kind of why I went more into the coaching side of things, because for me it was about, I like to talk, but I like to explain, because sometimes, again, coming back to the men thing, men don't know how to articulate what's in their head. And so if you pick up on something, you go, oh, I remember this one time with so-and-so, and then it's almost like you're giving them the words.
Yeah.
Without colluding or coercing. It's kind of like, you know, I know that I'm going to give you an example here because I think these are the words that you're looking for, or a start. And obviously that's the difference. One of the differences between coaching and obviously counselling, you know, is progression and kind of regression in that kind of sense.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that my personal belief, I think everybody should go through at least 2 or 3 sessions of counselling or therapy, at least, just to get their own impression of it.
Yeah.
Because it blew my mind when I first went to counselling. Like, it's nothing like I thought it was going to be. Nothing. No, nothing like I thought it was going to be. You know, I don't know. I thought the typical chair guy looking at his clock. He didn't. It was a room. He sat there. He didn't say a word to me. He kept his hand in his pockets, and it was painful for the first half an hour because I wanted him to talk, but it wasn't about him. But at the time, I'm just kind of like, just say anything, and he didn't say a word. And then I started talking, and that's how it started. And that was kind of like the route back for me. Do you know what I mean? And then with coaching, it was, it's like it's a guide. That's all it is a guide. You know, you tell me
Yeah.
where you want to get to and tell me why you can't get there yourself. And let's find out what's not working for you and let's find out what we can do. And being honest and going, don't tell me no bullshit. Don't give me no excuses. Don't tell me that if I can do whatever you're doing. You know, if you don't show up for this hour, the only person you're letting down is you. So let's make this about you. And I get a lot of buy-in with that because men like people that talk direct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Directiveness.
Yeah, it's like the first thing I say is, mate, I don't take bullshit, and I will not tolerate you talking to yourself like a bit of shit. You know, if you paid for an hour, come 5 minutes early.
Yeah.
Be ready.
Yeah.
Create that feeling, you know, of that you want to create. Don't rock up without a pen and bit of paper. You know, 5 minutes past and apologize to me.
Yeah.
It's not me you're letting down, mate.
Yeah, and you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. So
yeah. And I think
really
when you start to put it in that way, when you start to put it that way, people then start to realize actually the dude does want to look. You know, he does. And then, like yourself, I mean, you kind of create a bond with somebody, don't you, when you're going through that? Because they're sharing stuff they've never shared with anybody before.
Yeah, I know.
And that is something that is just, you know, like we said, it's a privilege. And it's
I love it. It is a privilege. It really is.
Especially when someone seeks you out and they go, I've been watching you. I've been looking at your stuff. You know, what do I need to do? And I'm like, well, what do you want? Like, what do you need from me? You know, and we'll have a conversation and I'll go, right, you told me stuff, but is that really you? Is that really what you want? Or is that what your partner or someone wants you to become to make it easier for them?
Yeah.
And that's just
like, who are you? Like what you asked me, who are you? What do you want? Who do you want to be? Who was you? Who are you now? Who do you see yourself as?
Yeah. It's important. You know, it really is. Karen.
I think we could talk all day.
We could, and that's the beauty of it, though, do you know what I mean? It really is.
Yeah.
So there will be another one. I'll be coming onto your podcast soon. What you got to lose? Now you've been on one, you know what it's like. Listen, you control the way you want your journey to be. Go as fast, as slow as you want.
Yeah.
You're cutting your own groove, love.
Truth.
You know cutting your own groove. You know what I mean? Look how far you've come. You've got your own private practice. You fed us a bit sandbathing. That says to me that there's no fucks given, you know what I mean?
It's so relaxing. You got to try it.
Listen, now you said that, I'm gonna I'll get Mark to have a little thing, see if there's anything down here in Spain, you know what I mean? Like do sandbathing and all that.
It was an hour and a half of me.
Was it? If not, I'll just get a pot, fill it up with water, start banging it over his head, you know what I mean? I'll make light of it. I really appreciate you, man. I appreciate the work that you do, and I appreciate what you do for people when they're at their lowest and they feel they have nothing. You know, you provide that safe space for them to talk about how they're feeling. And you know, I know what that feels like, and so I thank you. You know, I thank you for that because it takes a special person to do a job like you do.
I don't know. Thank you. Thank you.
Take it, stick it in your pocket. You're going to be a day when you're feeling a little bit shit. And remember what I said to you. You know, it takes a very special person to do the job that you do.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I will be proud, man. I will be proud.
Indeed.
Are you proud of yourself?
Very proud of myself.
Good girl. Good girl.
Very
I love
proud.
that. I love that. I love that. Karen, thank you, darling.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to leave a review and subscribe.